Hi everyone, and welcome to That Eurovision site. I'm Angus, and today I'm joined by the wonderful Gustaph, who is competing in Belgium's Eurosong 2023. First
Yes.
of all, how are you?
Good. Very good. Enjoying a little time between Christmas and New Year's to get a bit more chilled, but we're still rehearsing and doing a lot of preparations for the final. So yeah, it's very exciting.
I can't imagine it's getting closer and closer.
Yes.
So you have been on the Eurovision stage, well, not on the stage, but you have performed at Eurovision twice.
Yes, that
Once
is correct.
in 2018 for Senek and once in 2021 for Hooverphonic as backing
Yes,
singers. But
correct.
for most Eurovision fans, unless they're really deep into it, they won't know you. So could you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Yes. Well, so my name is Gustaph. I'm a Belgian singer-songwriter and producer. I work mostly in a more electronic house and queer scene. I've been a touring member of Hercules and Love Affair for 8 years, which is a big queer band that I was part of, and I've kind of like traveled the world with them. And I'm yeah, working a lot in that scene in Belgium and out of Belgium, basically.
Yeah, very hard worker, clearly.
As you can
So
tell in the studio. So
yes, exactly. It looks lovely. I mean, I
it's
I
very nice.
can't play or produce music, but I always love hearing about it. As I said, you have performed at Eurovision, and now you are in the running to return by
Right.
yourself. What
Yes.
did you love most about your Eurovision experience?
Well, I think I kind of fell in. I was always, first of all, as a kid, I was a very big fan of Eurovision, as I think a lot of little gay kids are. So I was really into the points and how much you points to give to an act, points to give to the song, and that kind of stuff. And it kind of fizzled down when I was in my 20s, I think. And then I think the last 10 years, I got much more back into it. And I think once I started doing the performances with Senek and then with Hurophonic, I fell in love with the whole atmosphere surrounding Eurovision because unless you're really there in a stadium full of people who sing every song and give love to every song they hear, it's so special and it's quite unique. And it just yeah, it's very inspiring as an artist because there's really a love in that place for everyone who performs on the stage and it just inspired me to do that for myself. Yeah, that's kind of, and again with Hooverphonic, it was a different experience because that was very much a lockdown and COVID experience. But even then, it was still there was not that many people. There were people there, and it was the same kind of atmosphere. Just there's a lot of love in that room, and it's something I think you want to recreate over and over again.
And I
So
assume that's also why you are now going to perform at Eurosong, right? Is that
that is
safe to
very
say?
correct. I was really easing you into that one.
You were. Um, so I'm not allowed to ask too many questions about the songs because we are keeping them a bit of a surprise, which
I
is
know,
very
I
exciting for us all.
know.
But what is the general atmosphere that you want to go for with your songs?
Well, what I can say is that, especially when it comes to what I want to portray as an artist, is I want to start from my own world and project from the inside out. So I'm talking about my own experiences as a queer artist and a queer person. I think it's very important for me to when I have a platform to create something positive around that identity. So I think both the songs, what I can say, is are very much about rejoicing and celebrating who we are and trying to get over our differences. It's quite schmaltzy to say, but it's something I really believe in. And what I can say is that maybe because you already heard snippets of both songs, because of you really focuses on the idea of celebrating who we are and celebrating your chosen family. And the nail is also about celebrating who you are, but then more with the idea of despite what has been done to me, because we all have our all trials and tribulations when it comes to identity. Despite of stuff that happened, I'm still here and I'm still representing who I am, and I'm not going to be ashamed of who I am. So they're very similar. It's just that the kind of the way they start out is different, but they all end up with the same idea of celebrating who you are. And I think that's something I really wanted. I'm taking a stand for that actually, because I felt if I have a platform, I'm going to use it for something good.
Um, is it then also can I draw from what you now said something about your songwriting process where you try to sort of grab a certain experience or emotion you feel and try to put it out into music and
Yes,
highlight it?
sure.
Okay, that's very interesting. I love hearing about songwriting processes. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for me, sorry, I didn't understand what you wanted to ask, but I can tell you something about the songwriting process without giving too much away. I think COVID hit, I think, a lot of artists very hard, but it also was, in a way, in a very effed up way, good, because you start to think about what is my significance as a writer, because we all felt a bit as artists like we weren't very useful, or the world maybe made us feel like we weren't very useful sometimes. And I think for me, it installed a fire in me to be like, I still have a voice, I still have something to say, and I'm going to take every opportunity I get to do something with that voice. And that's why all the songs I'm writing right now come from a very personal perspective. And not that I only want to do that, because that would be a bit exhausting, honestly. But I feel I'm in a sort of a fighting position right now in my life where I want to work with that atmosphere and work from that emotion.
That's great. Thank you. Um, Now you've done a lot of live performances over your career, everything from solo stuff to a theater tour and everything in between.
Yes.
Do you have any pre-performance rituals?
Um, Not really, like, except for this. Well, not meaning the boring ones. So I'll give you the boring ones, which is, warm up the voice. I'm also a vocal teacher, so I'm very big on getting the voice correct up, like warmed up correctly. Sorry. Um, I do also, for me, a lot of the pre-performance stuff is putting on the gear, because I love, I think what I wear is especially on stage, an extension of what I am. So putting on the gear, putting some foundation on my face, and getting a little bit of makeup going. I wear a lot of hats, accessories, so all that stuff really helps me to get ready for the performance, because I feel like Gustaph is an extension of what I am, and I think all that stuff, the costumes and accessories, help me to become Gustaph a bit more. So I think it's just warming up, putting on some great music that I can warm up to, and then getting myself ready in front of a mirror. Is actually it's a very boring one, but it's the truth.
I mean, but that's also an important part of it. And actually, that made me realize I was wondering. So Gustav is your stage name for your
Yes.
current solo career. As far as I'm aware, it isn't related to your full name as most artist names are. So what's the story behind that?
Well, it's not a very deep story, but I can give you the story nonetheless. It's just I was, because I used to work under, my name is Steph. I'll say that first. And I used to have when I was in Belgium. This is like medieval times when I started out. I was known as Stefan, and it was very much a pop career, which was fine. But I just didn't really connect to the whole pop thing, and I kind of stepped out of that for a while. And I think then a couple of years later, I wanted to reintroduce myself, and that's when Gustave started being used. And it still had something of Steph in it, Gustave. I know it's maybe a small one, but it's still Steph in there somehow. And my dad's godfather was called Gustave. And I thought, okay, let's just use that one. I just like the sound of it, basically. And I like that I'd use the PH at the end, so it's a bit of a different spelling. That's kind of, and that's how deep that goes, in all honesty.
I mean, it's still a great story, to be honest.
Good. If you think it's great, then I'm happy, Angus.
Uh, as you said, you've gone through a bit of a evolution sonically of what you've released. Who are your musical inspirations?
So many, so I'll try to narrow it down for you. Um, but yeah, first off, I think growing up, my parents used to listen to a lot of Motown and Stax records. So I think any type of old soul music is a huge inspiration for me, especially vocally. That's something that really, has kind of trained me in that sense. Um, the other thing is I listen to a lot of still the same music as I did years ago. So it's a lot of pop music and electronic music. I think for me, people I listen to a lot are still now is Robin, Rasheen Murphy, Eurythmics, and Lennox. The oldies like George Michael still is someone I completely adore. And I think most recently I've been just obsessed with anything Jessie Ware releases. I really think is incredible. So I'm really into the whole kind of the little retro early 80s New York garage, disco vibe is really great. And but then again, I also listen to a lot of, which maybe is not very clear on my music, but I listen to a lot of Kate Bush, Joni Mitchell, Leonard Cohen. So it's quite eclectic, the stuff I listen to. I think those kind of musicians inspire me a lot lyrically, for example, because they go much deeper with what they're writing than maybe the typical pop record. So that's kind of like on first hand what moves me musically.
That's very interesting. I would say you can actually sort of draw a line from like your Kate Bushes and then sort of the art poppy side to Eurythmics and beyond. I do think there's this
Yes.
very, very lovely line. And with you saying all this, I'm getting really excited to hear your two full songs, actually.
Oh, good,
Very
good.
much looking forward to it.
That's always good.
Yeah, so turning to Eurovision itself,
Yes.
there's the one question that every interview has to ask, and that is, what is your favorite Eurovision entry?
I know everyone asks me, but I'll give you because
You
I
can give a couple. I can only pick because I've decided this is the song I like most, and
right.
that's my answer.
Well, I'll give you three, because I always said I was going to answer with three answers when they asked me the question. So what I'll say is, maybe it's a bit out there, but I always loved, and it's still one of my all-time favorites Eurovision song is Imani from the UK, who did "Where Are You Now." It's just because my music is very driven by electronic house music, and that's in my experience, one of the very few songs that really delved into a clubby kind of atmosphere, which really worked. And I remember they did one of the last years they played it with orchestral stuff, so they added some lovely string arrangements to it, which was a very interesting mix. And she's just a great singer, obviously. And I think if you listen to a song like "Because of You," I think there's something of a similar vibe there, which this kind of clubby vibe that you don't hear a lot, maybe on the Eurovision stage, but it's interesting. Yeah, another one. It's an oldie but goodie. Is "Eres Tu" from Moquedades. That's an old one, but I just something about that song. It always touches me for some reason. It's a beautiful melody. It's a very beautiful song. And my mom used to play it a lot, so I guess it's a sentimental thing as well. And three is maybe very cliche, but I have to be honest. Is I think Euphoria from Loreen is still. I know it's such a cliche to say, but I just love her. I still follow her as an artist. I think she's doing amazing, incredible things. And I also think for some reason she started a new template for artists on Eurovision. In my opinion, it was just such a simple, but such an effective performance. Her vocals were out of this world. It's a great pop song and it just set a level all of a sudden of artistry that, in my opinion, was something new to me. Not that I don't want to insinuate that there wasn't anything artistic happening before, but it was just such a great combination of something artful yet commercial, intuitive yet very in your face. It just had a very unique setting of combinations of vibes, which I loved. So those three are my favorites.
Three great choices. Those are really three great choices. And
Thank you, thank you.
I mean, yes, of course, it's cliche to really love Euphoria, but there's a reason it's a cliche
I
because it's
know
right. Like
it's
it's such a
just all
well.
it's such a good produced song. Yeah, everything about that was just brilliant. I'm
And that
sorry.
is actually, I think you'll have an ear for it, and it's been something I've been saying a lot. A lot of the times, I love Eurovision songs, but the production just doesn't feel quite there, or it didn't used to. And really, with Loreen, it seems there has been more of a focus also really
Yeah,
make it pop again, like as in
exactly.
like work.
Exactly. Because I remember, I think even she was one of the first since long that actually entered the UK top 10 and stuff, which was harder to do the years before, I think. So she really set a new template. Yeah, for sure.
Um, yeah. So if you win Eurosong 2023, you would be going to Eurovision. What would by yourself as a solo artist? What would that
Right.
mean to you?
That would be a great honor for just to represent Belgium because I've done it twice and not of course as a backing vocalist, but even then I had a sense of responsibility that was quite impressive because I didn't know I was so Belgian driven until that point. But once you hear the countdown for the song, you're really like, I'm doing this for the country. So I do feel that's a very big honor because I felt it before. And I think it would be great to do that because I think also that I can bring something because of my influences and stuff, and because I also truly love Eurovision, but also wanted to do something different on Eurovision. I think that would be great to see how that would work on a stage in front of so many people. And I think I would create a good message, a positive message, and something that maybe I don't want it to be controversial, but I think it could definitely, hopefully, change some people's minds about certain cliches they have about certain types of people. That's kind of what I would keep it. So that would be a great honor to defend that idea.
I mean, Eurovision is a great stage for that. We've seen that throughout the history with, I believe, Iceland '97, like the first very openly gay, also very queer
Oh, I
performance of the
love that
stage. I mean,
song.
with
Yes, yes, yes,
dance,
yes. With the latex girls in the
yeah, and
couch.
the white,
Oh my
yeah,
God, I love that song. It's such a good song. I love him. Oh my
and
God.
yeah, that's just such a great. And then we've just seen that develop from there throughout the contest.
Right.
Just people getting more openly queer within the contest and really sending out
Yes.
their message. But it's definitely something that still um needs to be heard. I think it's still
Yes.
something
Yes.
that
I
still is
agree.
very much necessary. So I mean, I guess that's part of your message, but I
Yes.
think we're slowly getting to the end of the interview. And is there anything you'd want to say to the people watching this?
Well, I guess because a lot of people there won't be able to vote, but just if you can have a look or have a listen to the song and give your opinion and let me know what you think about it, would be wonderful. And also just keep supporting Eurovision and keep supporting what people like you are doing, because I think it's there's something still very noble about the idea of Eurovision, which is, again, maybe I'm very schmaltzy again, but I think there's something beautiful about everyone trying to get the best song out there and to represent it in a setting for all of Europe. I think it's still a very beautiful idea. So keep supporting that beautiful idea.
A great message, and it's definitely something I can get behind. So yeah, that brings to the end of our interview. Gustaph will be competing in Eurosong 2023. There will be 4 introduction rounds where you get to play your 2 songs. Then you pick one of those songs for the final, which is on the 14th of January and will be broadcast live on AIM, I presume.
Yes.
So if you're in Belgium, you can watch it there. If you're outside of Belgium, maybe you get AIM on your TV. Otherwise, I'm sure will be broadcast online somewhere.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
And as you said, if you're in Belgium, please do vote.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining me today,
Pleasure.
Gustaph, and the best of luck.
Thank you so much.